Inside Gaming is sponsored by ExpressVPN. They're the fastest VPN we've ever used. Try them out at expressvpn.com/inside. Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm Brian. It's weekend roundup time. Boy, I'm sad to have to do another weekend roundup about this story, but it sucks so bad and we've got to cover it. We've got more on the Activision Blizzard sex abuse scandal to talk about. Yeah, there's been a big management shakeup as even more awful details come to light about just how bad things have been at the company. Meanwhile, employees are fighting back. They've formed a coalition and they're pushing back against a law firm that the company hired to investigate the whole mess. So let's start with the latest in this parade of that we have to cover. First, we learned that the workplace issues at Activision Blizzard are, if it's possible, even worse than we thought. Of course, this whole controversy came to light recently after a lawsuit from the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, which claimed that Activision Blizzard consistently mistreats female and minority employees, to say the least. That is putting it mildly. Lots of terrible stuff in that report. We covered it last week, and we learned even more terrible things recently. For instance, IGN reported a culture of drinking at Blizzard that forced lots of women to skip office parties because some were subjected to inappropriate touching. Nice, guys. What, like, aren't y'all adults at this company? Was there ever an adult that said, hey, this doesn't seem like a great idea. Maybe stop. It's actually a crime. You're committing crimes now. There was a designated room at Blizzard's office for breastfeeding, but it didn't have locks. And sometimes men would walk in and stare. Again, aren't y'all adults? Oh, and Waypoint reported that in a Minnesota office, an Activision IT worker secretly installed cameras in the unisex bathroom to spy on employees. Again, these are crimes. Waypoint also reported that during a cybersecurity conference job fair, one woman was asked by a Blizzard employee some humiliating questions like if she liked being penetrated. Jesus Christ. Yes, some really, really awful stuff. How is that company still standing? Because it still makes a lot of money. That's why. Short answer. Well, now Activision Blizzard is scrambling to contain the fallout. Blizzard president J. Allen Brack announced this week that he's leaving the company after 16 years to pursue new opportunities. Yeah, sure you are, dude. Brack took over in 2018, replacing Mike Morhaime, who was a co-founder of Blizzard, but Brack was also not a good boy. He was mentioned in the lawsuit as being accused of not taking effective measures when it came to claims made by female employees. Not a great dude. That's why he had to leave. He's not pursuing new opportunities. He should be pursuing new opportunities in prison if we lived in a just world, but we don't. Meanwhile, Morhaime has been accused by current and former employees of turning a blind eye to the issues that are now at the whole center of the controversy. So, who's going to replace Bragg? Somebody less awful, hopefully. Two people, actually, Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra. O'Neill is a Blizzard veteran. Ibarra, you might remember, was a senior executive at Xbox, as well as an executive VP more recently at Blizzard. In their official statement, Blizzard made reference to the ongoing controversy, saying that both leaders are deeply committed to all our employees. Does that mean that they can't stare at people in the breastfeeding room anymore? No more cameras in the bathrooms? Thanks, Blizzard. To the work ahead to ensure Blizzard is the safest, most welcoming workplace possible for women and people of any gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or background, to upholding and reinforcing our values. Maybe skip that one, maybe get some new values, and to rebuilding your trust. Oh, and Blizzard's head of global human resources, Jesse Meshuk, has left the company, I assume for being the worst person at their job in the history of the universe. Of course, many Activision Blizzard employees are very understandably furious at the company. They staged a walkout last week. They issued a list of demands like ending forced arbitration in employee agreements, adopting inclusive hiring and recruiting practices, increasing pay transparency, and having an audit performed by a neutral third party. And at least on the surface, Activision Blizzard did make an attempt to sound responsive. CEO Bobby Kotick issued a mea culpa of his own. He called the company's initial response to the California lawsuit tone deaf. He also said they'd hired the law firm Wilmer Hale to do a third-party audit of their practices. Now, what I should have brought up last week, and what lots of you did in the comments, and you were right to do it, is that Wilmer Hale has a reputation as a union buster. They previously helped Amazon keep its employees from unionizing, and it's pretty clear that Activision Blizzard is really afraid of that happening now. Well, they should be afraid because Activision Blizzard employees are really, really pissed, and they're starting to organize. Oh no, we better bring in Wilmer Hale and then act like on the surface we care about our employees. Anyway, a group of workers from across multiple studios in the company have formed a coalition called the ABK Workers Alliance, and they sent a letter to Kotick criticizing the hire of Wilmer Hale. They gave a copy of their letter to IGN. It claimed that Kotick didn't meaningfully address their demands. They also rejected the selection of Wilmer Hale due to its, quote, pre-existing relationships with Activision Blizzard and its executives. Also, they mentioned its history of discouraging workers' rights and collective action, and they specifically mentioned partner Stephanie Avakian's history of protecting the wealthy and powerful. They called on Kotick and the executive team to address their demands fully, and they wrote, "We will not abandon our cause. Our ranks continue to grow across multiple Activision Blizzard studios." They're also taking their own steps to improve their workplace. They're starting worker-to-worker mentorships, opening listening sessions, and community meetings. Is that a step towards unionization? Maybe. It's definitely workers taking collective action against a company that clearly has fostered a terrible work environment, to say the least. Meanwhile, a class action lawsuit has been filed against Activision Blizzard by shareholders who argued they were economically damaged by executives who withheld information and allegations that came to light through the California lawsuit. Basically, they're like, you didn't tell us all this stuff was going on, and now we're losing money. The complaint was filed in California, and it names Kotick and other top executives, saying they were aware of or recklessly disregarded the fact that the false and misleading statements were being issued concerning the company. Oh, and even more bad news, guys. Diablo Immortal is being delayed until next year. I know. We're all gonna have to pick up the pieces and struggle on. Even Diablo Immortal was like, damn, even I don't want to be developed by this company. I'm just kidding, it's a Chinese company that's developing it. Meanwhile, during an earnings call this week, investors peppered Activision Blizzard executives with questions about the lawsuit, understandably. Company officials bravely took as little accountability as possible while feeding them heaping helpings of corporate speak like, our employees are truly our greatest asset. You, which really rings a little bit hollow when you're letting lots of your people get sexually assaulted on the job, leading in some cases to suicide, then not acknowledging any of it until a state sues your ass after a 2-year investigation. Really good stuff, guys. So yeah, yet another lesson that corporations don't care about you. They'll always cover their own asses. And if your job ever says something like, we're just a family here, go find a better place to work. All right, we'll get to the rest of the stories in just a second. But first, guys, let's talk about HelloFresh. Guys, it's great the world is opening up again, but some things are better left to the before times, namely going to the grocery store. Why would you when you can have HelloFresh? HelloFresh sends fresh, pre-measured ingredients, incredible tasty recipes right to your door, so you can unsubscribe from grocery store hassles and get right to cooking. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh has quick, healthy, more affordable recipes on lock. They've got calorie-smart options that still taste amazing, so you don't have to scour the store looking for ingredients. All of them have a prep time of 30 minutes or less. Plus, HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than the grocery store and 72% cheaper than going to a restaurant, all without sacrificing quality or taste. I love HelloFresh. I've made burgers with them. They were delicious. I made balsamic fig chicken. What are figs? I don't know. They were delicious. I love them. You can make it. They give you the instructions right there, and it's all like cut out and like prepared for you. Then you prepare it. You feel great. You cooked a meal by yourself, and it's awesome. They got your back. It's like making a meal, but like somebody over your shoulder being like, here, actually, you should have this. It'll taste a lot better if you like. Thank you very much, HelloFresh. Here's what you need to do. Go to HelloFresh.com/14Roundup. Use code 14Roundup for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. That's up to 14 free meals at HelloFresh.com/14Roundup. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right, on to more stories. Speaking of video game companies with bad work environments, let's talk about Ubisoft. They've had their own issues with sexual misconduct, toxic working conditions, and recently, nearly 500 employees stood in solidarity with the Activision Blizzard workers. They wrote their own letter criticizing Ubisoft's handling of its own sexual misconduct allegations. In part, they wrote, "We have stood by and watched as you fired only the most public offenders. You let the rest either resign or worse, promoted them, moved them from studio to studio, team to team. Sounds like a certain church right now. Giving them second chance after second chance with no repercussion. This cycle needs to stop. They asked for a seat at the table when it comes to deciding how to move forward from here. And in response, company CEO Yves Guillemot sent a message to employees, which was later shared by Axios' Stephen Totillo. It said that a new company-wide survey will be launched by the end of the year and that Ubisoft is looking for a new VP of Global Employee Relations. You notice how they didn't address any of their actual concerns? They always do this. They'll do like a survey, or we're making a new hire, but we're never going to give you actually what you were asking for. And employees noticed that too at Ubisoft. They didn't seem convinced. They told GamesIndustry.biz that in Guillemot's response, the majority of our demands were sidelined and few of our points seem to have been addressed. They added that Ubisoft continues to protect and promote known offenders and their allies. We see management continuing to avoid this issue. It's also worth clarifying that an invitation to reach out to company management personally is not the same as having a collective seat at the table. It sure isn't. All right, so the next-gen consoles have been out for a while, but there's a problem. There's not enough of them, not enough supply. And now it's August. We do have some cause to think that maybe things are getting better, at least as far as the PS5 goes. In a conference call with investors, Sony Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki discussed the supply issues, particularly as they relate to the ongoing semiconductor shortage. And he gave some hopeful news. He said that Sony has secured the number of chipsets necessary to meet their sales targets for this fiscal year, which, if you're curious, they want to sell 14.8 million for the fiscal year. That would bring the console to more than 22.6 million units shipped since its release. So fingers crossed, hopefully the supply will start to catch up because it is not there yet. So speaking of Sony, we have heard rumors that they're working on a new PlayStation VR headset, and now we got some more details. Maybe. Sony apparently talked more about the new VR headset at a recent developers summit. This was reported by the YouTube channel PSVR Without Parole and Upload VR. They said that the next-gen PSVR controller is pretty cool. They can reportedly not only detect when you're holding the controller and touching buttons, but also how far away your fingers are. Sony also said it's looking to pursue a hybrid model for future AAA releases, the goal being to have optional VR support for all major PlayStation releases. That's pretty cool. Also more details. The next-gen PSVR connects to PlayStation consoles through a single cable, so you don't need a pass-through box. The headset features higher resolution OLED displays that offer 2000 by 2040 pixels per eye for a total of 4K resolution with an improved 110-degree field of view. Sony reportedly plans to use flexible scaling resolution in conjunction with foveated rendering enabled by eye tracking, basically to allow the device only to render what you're looking at. That's cool. They're also planning inside-out tracking for the next-gen PSVR, and the company says the controllers will have adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, and touch-sensitive buttons, so that is cool. When will it release? Well, Bloomberg has reported that the new PSVR won't arrive until holiday of 2022, so you're gonna have to wait. All right, once again, the Amazon MMO New World has been delayed. It was slated for release in August of last year, then it got delayed to the spring of this year, then it was delayed again until August 31st, and now it's pushed back until next month, September 28th, unless they delay it again. There's always a chance. Amazon tweeted in a developer update that they got a ton of feedback during a recent closed beta, and they're going to make some improvements based on that. They wrote, "We want New World's launch to be a smooth and fun experience for all players, and that means making some improvements based on what you encountered during closed beta. So we're going to take a few extra weeks to smash bugs, improve stability, and polish the game." They said that they're humbled by all the support that they got, and that more than 1 million people played for more than 16 million hours during the beta. I noticed that every influencer was playing it on Twitch like for a couple days. They must have busted out the piggy bank there, but we'll see what happens. All right, time for a 5-second review. It's like Zelda, except Link is a crow that kills people. It's pretty cool. All right, let's talk about the games coming out next week. First up, Glyph. Glyph's gameplay combines breathtaking aerial maneuvers with tranquil exploration in a stunning 3D platforming experience. Add a mesmerizing original soundscape, and Glyph is lifting you up and whisking you away. It comes to PC August 9th. Godfall. Save Aperion. You are the last of the Valorian Knights, masters of combat equipped with legendary armor called Valor Plates. Ascend in Godfall, a first-of-its-kind looter-slasher melee action RPG. Comes to to the PS4 August 10th, Lawn Mowing Simulator. Oh great, I get to be 12 again. Experience the beauty and the detail of mowing the great British countryside in Lawn Mowing Simulator, the only simulator that allows you to ride an authentic and expansive roster of real-world licensed lawn mowers from prestigious manufacturers. Next up, Vacuuming the House Simulator. It comes to PC and Xbox Series X August 10th. Glitchpunk, inspired by classic top-down action games, Glitchpunk lets you brawl, shoot, and drive your way through a dystopian future. As an android bounty hunter in a brutal world of gangs, cults, and corporations, there's plenty of work for you. Lock and load, let her rip. Comes to PC August 11th. Foreclosed is a narrative-driven action-adventure set in a cyberpunk world filled with action, suspense, and experimental augmentations. Sounds like cyberpunk. Follow the story of Evan Kapnos in this sleek comic book style game as he unravels the conspiracy behind his identity foreclosure. Who is responsible and why? It comes to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Stadia. That's all of them. August 12th, Naraka Blade Point is a 60-player action battle royale offering players insane mobility, powered by parkour and a grappling hook, like Bionic Commando. A vast arsenal of melee and ranged weapons, and a roster of characters with powerful abilities. It comes to the PC August 12th. Shadowverse Champions Battle. The next evolution in card battles has arrived. Oh, I love these games. Team up with the characters from the hit Shadowverse anime in this thrilling card battle game. It's just like Yu-Gi-Oh! With spectacular new summoning animations and exclusive cards. Take on your rivals in story mode or head online to challenge your friends. It comes to the Switch August 3rd. You don't challenge your friends online, they're no friends online. And finally, Hades. Yes, it's out, finally. Defy the god of the dead as you hack and slash out of the underworld in this roguelike dungeon crawler from the creators of Bastion, Transistor, Empire. It's Hades, you know what it is. It's awesome. And now it's going to be on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One August 13th. That's all the news I got for you this week, guys. Woo, that was a lot. We'll see you next week.